Funko changes their European website, and Pokemon has got an announcement that a pop-up store is coming next year in London. Also, I literally was editing this, so I've had to redo this. There's a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer that just came out that's coming next year, so I'll talk about that, and it's going to be very short. But anyway, welcome to this week's Nerd Roundup, hosted by the Nerd Factory. I'm Jake. Let's get you up. Funko announced last week that they'd be moving their dedicated Funko Europe website to the main Funko.com domain. This would mean that the Europeans would be getting the same website the Americans use, which, in all honesty, was much more cared for than the European one. There were so many quality of life stuff that the American site had that the European one didn't. And there was a lot of things the European site was just kind of like, we need the Europeans to buy stuff, so just make a website. It doesn't matter how good or bad it is. But it does allow the Europeans finally to get the fan rewards system, which is just a loyalty point scheme, which has been asked for God knows how long since the European site existed, and they never added it for whatever reason. There are still some kinks in the Funko.com website with the transition, because there's quite a lot of American terminology still being used, especially with addresses as zip code, which I don't think is a major issue, but it's kind of just a nitpicky thing. But I'm assuming that'll be sorted within the coming weeks. However, I've seen some things where in certain cases, especially on the first couple of days, which I'm assuming is fixed now, some people were getting American priced delivery as if they were ordering it from, like it was before, the American site rather than Funko Europe. They were paying 20 to 30 quid, or I guess it was dollars at the time because it was still transitioning, for delivery, which I'm assuming is not the case now. I've checked it, it's fine now, but that was very weird. It doesn't seem like a thing that they planned very well, which is weird because you'd think they would do, but it's there. Hopefully they'll sort out the kinks, and I think in the long term it will probably end up being better because the Funko.com website is so much better. But who knows? Pokemon has announced that a pop-up store will be coming to the Natural History Museum in London next year. Tickets are going to be free, and they're going to be available on October 1st, which could help you land your chance of getting a brand new exclusive plushie, along with the typical clothing and stationery you'll typically find in Pokemon stores and stores that sell Pokemon stuff. However, I'm unsure if there's going to be any TCG or other products that they didn't specify, because they didn't specify it's going to be there. But I don't know, I'm happy that something's coming, because it's one of the things that I wish we had in the UK is a dedicated Pokemon store somewhere. Even if it's the Nintendo thing that they have in New York, that'd be cool. But this will do. This will do. This is fine with me. Alright, now time for the most unscripted bit ever, because I was editing and they released the MANDO and Grogu movie trailer. It's 90 seconds long. They didn't show a lot. However, MANDO and Grogu kick some ass. The Razor Crest is back, apparently. He rebuilt it. I guess we'll find out why at some point. Zeb's also in the movie. He was also kicking ass. That was cool. And then Sigourney Weaver, which we knew who was in the film already, which I'm pretty sure we knew Zeb was also in the film already, is also just chilling. It looked cool. I watched it 3 times just to kind of get an idea. I'm very excited for this movie, regardless of what they show. But yeah, I wish they released it yesterday so I could look into it more and maybe write a script down. But it looks very cool. I'm very excited just for anything Star Wars. So this is good. This is good to me. I wish they released this yesterday so I could talk about it better and not kind of go off my brain, which is why I write stuff down, because there's some sort of a script or thing to go off of. Alright, now you're all caught up. Again, I had to redo this thing too. I literally wrote down that not a lot happened this week, and then as I'm editing, the bloody trailer comes out. But oh man, again, this is why I write down scripts, because my brain doesn't function too good. But I'm glad there's going to be a Pokemon store next year. I'm hoping I can get tickets to go, because I even just go to the Natural History Museum. I love that museum. Although, yeah, questionable stuff. Anyway, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. You'll be getting a Nerd Roundup every week on a Monday at 6 p.m. UK time. If you've got any suggestions of what you'd like to see or anything you'd like to say that I missed, because there's probably a good chance I missed a bunch of stuff this week. I'll try to respond as soon as I can. I've now got to go find more gameplay to put in the background because I only did a small amount, so I need to go find that. So hopefully you'll be looking at some gameplay in the end of this while I talk about Mando and stuff. But other than that, I'll see you next week.